Why do Catholics not eat meat on Fridays? Is it just something we practice during Lent? Are we following a man-made tradition? I'm Luiz, and you're watching Why Go Catholic. As many of you may know, Catholics fast during Lent to prepare themselves spiritually to more worthily celebrate the Easter sacraments. Fasting is simply abstaining from food by having only one complete or full meal during the course of the day. During Lent, some people decide to give up things like their favorite food, drinks, or sweets. All of those are good acts of self-sacrifice and mortification, which are good things in and of themselves, but they aren't what was traditionally considered fasting. Catholics fast, again, meaning having just one complete meal on both Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. In addition to fasting on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, Catholics are required to observe something called abstinence, which is abstaining from meat. Friday is significant for Christians because it is the day on which Christ died, and in remembering his sacrifice, Catholics observe the day in an act of Friday penance. It helps set the day apart from the rest of the week, much like how Sundays are set apart as days of rest. Sundays are for celebrating Christ's resurrection, while Fridays are for remembering his death. But how does not eating meat help us remember Christ's death? Well, we have to start with the word meat, which comes from the Latin word carnis, which specifically means animal flesh. So when we say meat, the Church specifically defines it as the meat that comes from warm-blooded animals, like land animals such as chicken, cows, sheep, or pigs. This means that cold-blooded animals such as fish, shrimp, or shellfish are permitted to be consumed on Fridays. So you might be saying to yourself, okay, so fish is allowed on Fridays, but how is eating fish penitential? Well, in other cultures, fish was not considered a celebratory meal, and eating fish was seen as a form of penance. Partly because meat and fish are digested differently by our bodies. The meat in the muscles from land animals has longer bundles of fibers than the fish muscle fibers, which makes fish tend to break down much easier in our bodies, having a softer and more tender texture. Fish also takes less time to digest, making you feel hungrier faster, which makes enduring that hunger a form of penance and sacrifice itself during Ash Wednesday and Fridays of Lent. It is a form of prayer, a discipline. Unfortunately, today many Catholics are not aware that Fridays are still days of penance during the entire year, not just during the season of Lent. The Church is requiring the faithful to abstain from meat on Fridays is an ancient tradition, and the requirement is still in place for many countries, even today. The practice dates back to the beginning of the Church. For example, when the Pharisees came to Jesus and asked why he and his disciples do not fast, he replied, "Can the children of the bridegroom mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken away from them, and then they shall fast." That time of fasting is for Catholics, the season of Lent. And the way we fast as Christ commands is through fasting and abstinence. In years past during Lent, not only meat was forbidden, but any animal byproduct including butter, cheese, and eggs. This actually is where the tradition of Easter eggs originated, because it was the first time since before Lent that people ate eggs. However, over time, because the faithful started to forget the reason behind penance in Lent, Pope Paul VI issued a decree in 1966 which eased the rules about abstinence and fasting. Because of this change, many people today unknowingly think that it's no longer required to abstain from meat on Fridays at all outside of Lent. But that couldn't be further from the truth. That document actually gave the bishops the responsibility to determine the norms of Friday penance they considered the most effective for the faithful under their pastoral care. So Pope Paul VI didn't intend to end the practice of fasting and abstinence. Actually, he meant the exact opposite. He wanted the people to more fully choose to fast and abstain for themselves, more perfectly imitating Christ. Today, at least in the United States, we have the choice to either not eat meat, which is the preferred form of penance, or to substitute it with another act of penance instead. Simply omitting the practice entirely, however, is not what the Pope or the bishops at that time were advocating for. It is important to know that there are some exceptions to that rule, like children under 14, people who are sick, the elderly, pregnant women, and other people whose daily activities require more physical strength, such as manual workers or high-performance athletes. So they are not bound by this rule of abstaining from meat on Fridays, but instead should try to perform some other act of penance in place of it. So there you go. That's why Catholics eat fish on Fridays. So remember your Friday penance, and not just for Lent, but from now on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.